Some days, the hardest mile is the one between the couch and the front door. Now, people see the races, the medals, the finish lines, but what they don't see is the mornings when my shoes stay untouched. When I know what I need to do, but I still can't make myself move. Now, that isn't an excuse. It's the truth. Running helps me, but it doesn't save me every day. And maybe you know that feeling too. Maybe you've been tired so much in a way that sleep can't even fix it. Maybe showing up has felt heavier than usual. Well, this episode is for those days, for the battles no one posts, for the miles that begin long before the watch even starts. Cue that intro music.
Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy the lie.
There's a version of me that laces up his shoes every single morning without thinking twice. He doesn't exist. I made him up. I made him up for Instagram. I made him up for the podcast intro. I made him up because it's easier to sell certainty than it is to sell the truth, which is this. Some mornings I stand at my front door with my shoes already on, and I still don't leave the house. Not because I'm hurt, not because it's raining, not because I have a good reason. I just don't want to. And for a long time, that meant something was wrong with me. Like the door was a test, and I kept failing it. This episode isn't about the mornings I open the door. It's about the ones I don't. My name is Nick Mraz, and this is the Ostrich Running Podcast. If you're new here, the name comes from a joke that stopped being a joke. Ostriches don't actually bury their heads in the sand. That's a myth. What they really do when something's coming from them is drop flat to the ground and go still, hoping it passes over. Now, I've done that, not with predators, but with Tuesdays. I want to tell you something before we go further because I think you deserve to know what's going on. Now, I've been sober for over 7 years now. I've ran 100 miles, 50 milers, 50Ks, marathons, all through the night, early in the morning. I built a brand from a garage idea into something people order from over 25 different states. I coach people through their lowest points on this show every week. And yet, I still have mornings where getting dressed is the hardest rep I do all day. Not the run, not the hill repeats, not the 30-hour goal I have circled on a calendar for Route 66, but just getting dressed, pulling a shirt over my head like it's a deadlift. I used to think that fact disqualified me from talking about discipline. Like if I really had it together, this wouldn't still be a thing at year 7, after 100 miles, at whatever mile marker was supposed to mean I'd arrived. I don't think that anymore, but it took me a long time and a lot of quiet, ugly mornings to stop thinking about it. So that's what today is. It's not a pep talk. I don't really have one in me today, honestly, and I'm not going to fake it for the sake of a clean episode. Today's a drive. You're in the passenger seat, and I'm just going to talk. And the way you talk to someone at mile 80 when there's nothing left to perform for. So, let's go. Here's what nobody tells you about the mornings. They don't announce themselves. There's no thunderclap. I don't wake up and think, today's going to be one of the hard ones. I just wake up and the ceiling looks a little further away than usual. And the list of things I know I should do, the run, the emails, calling my mom back, all of it sits on my chest like a stack of plates. And I don't trust myself to carry them without dropping. And the strange part, the part that has taken me many years to admit out loud, let alone into a microphone, is that I know what I need to do. I could recite it to you. Get up, drink water, put your shoes by the door the night before so it's one less decision. Text the juice, tell him I'm struggling. Let someone carry it for 5 minutes. I know all of it. Knowing it and doing it, those aren't the same muscle. And I think that's the part that most people misunderstand about discipline. Mine, theirs, anyone's. We treat it like information. Like if you just knew enough, you would do the thing. But I've read a ton of books. I've listened to every episode of every show that promises the secret. I've built my entire public identity around showing up. And some days, my body still won't cooperate with me. It won't cooperate with what my brain has already agreed to. Here's a memory, a small one. O'Neill Park, 50K. I trained for it, tapered for it, done everything right on paper. Somewhere around mile 26, I started cramping so badly I had to stop on the side of the trail, sit down in the dirt, and just wait. My body locked up, calves, hamstrings, abductors, everything all at once, like my legs had unionized against me. And I hadn't taken in enough sodium. And that was the technical explanation. I turned it into content later. Here's what I've learned about electrolytes. Because that's the version of the story that's useful to other people. But the version that was true for me, sitting in the dirt, was simpler and less useful. I did everything right, and my body betrayed me anyway. That's what some mornings feel like. Not a failure of effort, but a betrayal by the machine I live inside. I want to talk about the imposter thing because I think that it matters. And because I don't hear enough people in this space say it plainly. People message me a lot. You're so motivational. I wish I had your discipline. How do you make yourself do it every day? And every time there's a half second where I want to correct them. And I don't because it's easier to let the story stand. But here's the actual truth. I'm not always motivated. I'm rarely motivated, if I'm honest. What I have is a habit that's survived enough bad days that it doesn't need motivation anymore to function. Now that's a different thing. That's not inspiring. That's just repetition with a really long memory. But social media doesn't show the repetition. It shows the summit. It shows the finish line, the 28-hour finish time that I posted, the sunrise over the ridge at the mile 90. It doesn't show me at mile 4 of a Tuesday morning run. I almost didn't start. Staring at a stretch of sidewalk I've run 400 times, wondering why today it feels like 401 is the one that breaks me. I used to feel guilty about that gap between what people saw and what I lived, almost like I was running a con. Some weeks, that guilt was almost worse than the tired itself. This quiet fear that if people really knew, they'd stop believing any of it. The brand, the coaching advice, the life advice. I don't feel that as sharply anymore. Not because I fixed it, but because I started saying it out loud instead of carrying it alone. That's most of what changed, if I'm being honest. Not a new training plan, not a supplement, just I stopped performing certainty I didn't have. If you've felt that gap too, between what you post and what you live, between what people assume about you and what actually happens behind your front door, I don't think that makes you a fraud. I think it makes you a person who still is deciding how much of the truth is safe to show. I'm not going to tell you it's always safe because sometimes it isn't. But I'll tell you, it's gotten lighter for me every time I've tried. Now, people ask me why I run this far, why I sign up for a 100-mile race, a 140-mile race, when 26 would already prove something. I used to have an answer that sounded good. Something about limits, about finding out what I'm capable of. And that answer isn't wrong exactly. It's just incomplete. Now here's the fuller version. The one I usually don't say into a microphone. I think some of us chase hard, external things, because they give our internal chaos a shape we can point to. If I'm struggling at mile 70 of a 100-miler, that struggle makes sense. It's supposed to be hard, right? Everyone around me agrees it's supposed to be hard. There's no shame in 100 miles hurting, but the struggle of just getting dressed on a random Wednesday for no visible reason, that one doesn't come with an aid station. Nobody's cheering for you at that finish line because nobody knows there's a race happening at all. So I think for me, running became a place to put a feeling that didn't have anywhere else to go. Not to fix the feeling, but to give it a container. 100 miles is a really big container. Now I want to be careful here because I don't want this to turn into another version of the myth I'm trying to take apart. Running didn't heal me. I need to say that clearly because I think a lot of us in this sport quietly imply the opposite. That if you just run far enough, long enough miles, you'll outrun whatever's chasing you. I've run through the night in Big Bear, California. I've run until my body stopped negotiating with my mind and just did what it was told. And I came home from every one of those races and still had mornings where I couldn't get off the floor of my bedroom. Running didn't heal that. Running just gave me somewhere to carry it that wasn't only inside my own head. That's a smaller claim than the one this sport likes to make itself. I think it's also the true one. I've spent a lot of time around endurance athletes through this show, through races, and the people that we've had on this microphone. And I've noticed something I didn't expect when I started. The people who can suffer the longest, the ones who look strongest at mile 90, when everyone else has come apart, a lot of them are carrying something at home that has nothing to do with training. I don't think that's a coincidence. And I don't think it's a coincidence I don't say out loud very often because it's not flattering to the sport I love. I think some of us are drawn to 100 miles because it's the place, the one place where the pain is allowed to be visible, where you're allowed to say, I'm struggling out loud at an aid station, to have a stranger hear it and it be completely normal, where someone hands you a cup of broth and tells you you're doing great and means it, and doesn't ask you to explain why you're struggling. You're at mile 90. Of course you're struggling. Now, I wish more of life worked that way. I wish you could walk into a Tuesday afternoon and say, I'm struggling, and have someone hand you broth and tell you you're doing great. No explanation required. Instead, we hide the invisible ones. The best in this sport are often the best at hiding, because the same discipline that gets you through mile 90 will absolutely get you through pretending you're fine at a dinner table. I've done that. I've sat at dinner, fine on the outside, running 100 miles on the inside that nobody could see, and nobody asked because I didn't have a bib. I had no aid station, no mile marker to signal that I needed one. If that's you, if you're good at finishing races and bad at omitting the other race, the quiet one, I see you. Not in a t-shirt slogan way. I mean, I've been sitting where you're sitting. I'm sitting there now. So what do you do with all of this? That's the part I've spent the most years on. And I still don't have it fully solved. I want to be honest about that before I say anything else. But I can tell you, here's what I've learned piece by piece, mile by mile, bad morning by bad morning. I stopped trying to feel ready before I started. That was the first shift. I used to wait for the motivation to show up before I'd put my shoes on. And some days really never showed. Now I put the shoes on first and let the feeling catch up or not. Sometimes it never catches up, but I'll run anyway. Not far, not fast, just enough to prove to myself the door isn't load bearing. I stopped grading the day by how I felt at the start of it. I used to think a hard morning meant a wasted day, a broken streak, a step backward. Now I know a hard morning is just weather. You don't cancel the run because of weather. You just dress for it. I started telling people, just one person most days, Jarrett, he might get a lot of the text, more than he probably actually signed up for when we started this thing together. Rough one today. That's it. That's the whole message. I don't need him to fix it. I need it to exist outside my own head for a second, where it's lighter than it is in here. My wife, sit her down. I'm not feeling the best, but I'm telling you out loud, this is where I'm at. And I stopped needing the hard mornings to turn into a lesson by the end of the day. That one's newer for me. And it's the hardest one, to be honest. I used to need every bad stretch to resolve into something. Takeaway, quote, a piece of content. Some days it's just not there to be resolved. Some days I'm still tired at 9 p.m. the same way I was tired at 9 in the morning and nothing got fixed. And that has to be allowed to just be true without some pretty bow on it. That's most of what I've got. It's not a system. It's not 5 steps. It's just the shoes go on first. The day is weather. Someone else hears about it or not. And it doesn't have to turn into a lesson to still count as a day that I got through. If you're listening to this on a morning where the door feels load bearing, where you don't know exactly what you should do, and you can't make your body agree to it, I'm not going to tell you to just get up and go. You've heard that 1,000 times from 1,000 people who weren't even in the room with you. And it never once has been a thing that worked. This is a moment that I'm not going to tell you that running will fix it either. I already told you the truth about that because it didn't fix it for me completely. Now, it gave me somewhere to carry it for sure. But what I'll tell you is this. The fact that today is heavy does not mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're behind. It doesn't mean the version of you that shows up for things is fake or gone or was never real to begin with. It just means that today's heavy. That's the whole sentence. It doesn't need anything added to it. Some mornings, you'll leave the house. Some mornings you won't. Both of those mornings are allowed to belong to the same person. The one who has ran 100 miles through the night and the one who couldn't even get a shirt over his head 3 days later. I am both of those. I've stopped pretending I'm only the first one. I didn't run on Tuesday. I want to tell you that because I think it matters more than if I had. I missed a lot of workouts. I've been in this funk. I've got dressed and that was the whole workout. Shirt, shoes, shorts by the door like I planned the night before, exactly like I told you to do. And then I sat on the edge of my bed for a while and didn't go anywhere. And tomorrow I'll probably try again. Not because tomorrow is guaranteed to feel lighter. I don't actually know that it will. I've been doing this long enough to stop promising that. To stop beating myself up if tomorrow didn't go as planned. But tomorrow exists, and that's not nothing. Some mornings, that's the whole reason. I'm not going to end this with a quote. I'm not going to tell you to keep going. I think you already know whether you're going to keep going or not. And it was never going to be my sentence that decided it for you. I'll just say this. I'm glad you rode along today. Same road tomorrow, whatever the weather is. I just want you all to know that even though I put out there this motivated, this ready to go individual, I have my days, because there's nothing worse than making you feel terrible about yourself when you look on social media and you see everybody crushing workout after workout after workout after workout, improving, and the joy that running has brought them. I want to be that person who's a little bit more real. I am in a wave of depression for no reason at all. And we all go through it. We all struggle to find motivation. This too shall pass. You should be running scared, even when scared just looks like getting dressed. A day at a time. We all don't have it together. We all go through ups and downs. It does not make you a fake, a fraud, but it makes you human. I only suggest that you go out and you reach out to those close to you. You be truthful and transparent. Because the more that you pull down the wall of what you're going through to those around you, the less that you have as a barrier to get rid of those feelings. The one thing that you don't want to do is isolate. You want to make sure that you put yourself out there even more, because the community around you understands. Not everybody has it together. Don't beat yourself up. Just survive the next day and know that not everybody has it together. Cue that outro music.
Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy the lie. I'm an odd kid, like an ostrich. I got a pod, kids, here's a topic. Blaze your own trail, don't be cautious. 2 birds, 1 stone's how I rock it. Can't make an omelet without breaking a shell. But they say grew up, now I'm raising hell. Haters gonna hate, yeah, they praying you fail. So put in the work, whether pavement or trail. The grades fell down, but they got to the feet. Run your own race, put this pod on repeat. Shake your tail feather, keep nodding your beaks. Ostrich gang, or you're not my peeps. Who says you need to fly to reach the top?